It's wild how fast a PR move can spiral into a total disaster. Prince Harry probably thought his Angola visit would be a quiet nod to Princess Diana's legacy. Show some compassion, walk through a cleared minefield, snap a few photos, and boom, instant goodwill. But instead of praise, he's catching flack, and not just from a usual internet crowd. We're talking Angelina Jolie level shade. And when Angelina steps away from something on moral grounds, people start paying attention. Now, here's where things get messy. Harry traveled to Angola with the Halo Trust, a landmine-clearing charity famously supported by Princess Diana. That imagery alone was powerful. Harry walking through dangerous terrain, just like his mother did decades ago. It was supposed to show continuity, compassion, and that royal touch of humanitarian grace. Except there's a backstory, one that people didn't expect to come back and bite him. Back in 2015, Angelina Jolie publicly resigned from the very same charity. Not because she was bored or ready to move on, but because she discovered something that didn't sit right with her. Apparently, some trustees were quietly paying themselves £500 a day. Yeah, $500 a day just for conducting an internal review. We're talking over $180,000 being passed around like pocket change. And Jolie wasn't having it. She quit, walked away from it all, because she didn't trust where the money was going. Now, fast forward to Harry showing up years later, hugging kids, giving speeches about hope, and once again aligning his image with Diana's humanitarian past. Except now, people are connecting the dots. They're asking, if Angelina Jolie found serious ethical issues with this organization and dipped out, why is Harry still backing it? Is he clueless? Is he desperate for good press? Or does he just not care? And here's another twist. It's not just about the charity's shady finances. There's timing involved, too. This Angola visit didn't drop out of the blue. It came suspiciously close to a court ruling where Harry was ordered to disclose financial records in an ongoing lawsuit with the Daily Mail. That's right. While his lawyers were scrambling to explain cash sent to witnesses, Harry was out in Angola playing the humanitarian. Real convenient. Huh? So naturally, people are citing the whole thing. Is this a distraction? A calculated PR stunt to shift the headlines away from the courtroom and back toward feel-good royal nostalgia? Because if it is, it backfired hard. Instead of getting people to talk about his noble deeds, they're digging up Angelina Jolie's resignation and wondering what kind of charities this guy keeps aligning with. And honestly, that's not an isolated pattern. Harry's charity track record hasn't exactly been squeaky clean. Whether it's dodgy fund management or suspicious partnerships, there's always some kind of shadow hanging over the organizations he supports. And every time he tries to clean up his image, it somehow ends up messy. This Halo Trust visit was supposed to be a safe move, a Diana tribute, a heartwarming cause, a bit of soft power branding. But instead it's dragging in Hollywood names and old controversies. Not quite the peaceful photo op he planned. And let's be real, when someone like Angelina Jolie walks away from a humanitarian project over financial ethics, and Harry walks, writing years later, trying to resurrect his image through the same group, that contrast is loud. It's almost too perfect, like a before and after ad. But instead of skincare, it's ethics. Jolie out, Harry in. Guess which one the internet trusts more. There's something about the way Prince Harry keeps trying to embody Princess Diana that doesn't sit right with people anymore. It's like he's stuck in this loop, where every move he makes is trying to echo what his mother once did. Except the world isn't buying it the same way it used to. His recent Angola trip wasn't just a nod to her past. It was a full-on attempt to step into her shoes, retracing her path in the exact same place with the exact same organization. But here's the problem. Diana never had to fight against a mountain of public distrust while she did it. Harry does. And that trust keeps crumbling, especially when connections like this start to surface. People aren't just criticizing Harry's halo-wrapped photo ops. They're questioning why someone with his resources, his platform, and his massive global visibility wouldn't have done basic homework on the charity's past. It's not like Angelina Jolie's resignation was a secret. It was all over the media. She walked away for a reason, and not just because she felt uncomfortable. She was disgusted by the payment's trustees pocketing £500 a day while acting like they were on a humanitarian mission. Think about it. If a world-renowned activist like Angelina sees red flags, that should be enough for most people to take a step back. But Harry didn't just walk into the same organization. He aligned himself with it publicly, loudly, in front of cameras. It's not just tone-deaf. It looks reckless. Or worse, it looks intentional. Some critics believe this isn't ignorance at all. They think Harry is fully aware of the controversies and just doesn't care because he's banking on the fact that most people won't dig deep enough, that they'll see a few dusty boots, a charity logo, and a quote about peace and just clap politely. But the internet doesn't work like that anymore. People are more skeptical, more curious, and way less forgiving. And then there's the money trail. Always the money. The Halo Trust might insist those payments were part of an internal review, but that doesn't wash away the optics. 2 trustees splitting over £180,000 in so-called review payments sounds more like a payout than oversight. And that whole review conducted by the same people involved in the spending. That's like grading your own test and giving yourself an A. Of course, they said it was justified. Of course, they cleared themselves. But the fact remains Angelina Jolie left. Prince Harry joined. One pulled out because of ethics. The other jumped in for PR. And what's worse is that this isn't even happening in a vacuum. Harry is under financial scrutiny right now. He's facing a lawsuit where he's been told to explain why money was sent to potential witnesses. That alone should be dominating headlines. But instead we got him out in Angola framed against sunlit minefields doing what looks like a glossy magazine shoot dressed up as a humanitarian act. The timing way too clean to ignore. Some people are calling it a distraction tactic, like throw out a feel-good story to bury the bad one. Except it didn't bury anything. If anything, it brought more attention to all the things people were already skeptical about. And now you've got comparisons popping up everywhere. Jolie's resignation letter versus Harry's photo ops. Charity financials versus court filings, royal branding. It's not a good look, especially when the one person who could have lent this charity credibility walked away from it years ago. There's a bigger conversation happening here that goes beyond Prince Harry or Angelina Jolie. It's about how public figures use their influence and whether their activism is genuine or just another layer of PR polish. Because when someone like Harry repeatedly steps into these so-called humanitarian roles, but leaves behind a trail of unanswered questions and questionable associations, people start seeing patterns. And once they see a pattern, it's almost impossible to unsee it. This isn't the first time his charitable connections have raised eyebrows. From Invictus Games Management to his now dormant Archwell Foundation projects, there's often confusion about where the money goes, who actually benefits, and how involved Harry really is beyond the press releases. And it's that vagueness, the lack of transparency that makes people uneasy. Because on the surface, these ventures are wrapped in noble causes. But dig a little deeper, and the structure holding it all up starts to look shaky. It also doesn't help that Harry's public persona has shifted so drastically in the last few years. He went from a rogue prince people rooted for to someone who seems trapped in a constant cycle of image control. He talks about mental health and emotional vulnerability, then turns around and files lawsuit after lawsuit. He preaches privacy, then signs multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify. It's a contradiction, and contradictions erode credibility fast. So, when he lands in Angola with cameras in tow, aligning himself with a charity that already had ethical clouds hanging over it, it just fits too neatly into the narrative people are already forming. that this isn't about landmines. It's not about children in war zones. It's not even about Diana anymore. It's about optics, about finding a moment where he can step into a picture and hope the right story sticks. But it didn't, because the public isn't just passively watching anymore. They're questioning. They're comparing. They're asking why a charity Angelina Jolie, a woman who spent decades on the front lines of humanitarian work, chose to cut ties with, is the same one Prince Harry is now using to craft his comeback arc. And the answers they're coming up with aren't flattering. There's also a deeper sting to this, one that ties back to Diana herself. Her activism was never performative. When she walked through those minefields, it wasn't with PR handlers and professional photographers hovering around. It was raw, unfiltered, groundbreaking for its time. And for Harry to try and mimic that without acknowledging the very real controversies surrounding the organization he's supporting feels like missing the entire point of legacy. Some say he's just trying to do good, and that may be true. But good intentions mean nothing when they're paired with poor judgment. When you're a global figure, every step you take matters. Every handshake, every speech, every photo, it all sends a message. And whether he meant to or not, Harry's message this time was muddled. Instead of amplifying the cause, he amplified doubt. As for Angelina Jolie, her decision to walk away without fanfare only reinforces her credibility. She didn't try to spin it. She didn't use it as a spotlight moment. She saw something unethical and she left. That's the kind of quiet integrity that speaks volumes. And ironically, it's the very thing Harry keeps chasing but can't seem to grasp. In the end, it's not about who wore the halo trust vest better. It's about who stood by their values when no one was watching. And in that comparison, one name clearly holds more weight than the other.